Okay, so welcome back to a new one on this channel, and on this one we need to talk about the setup that you have right here, the setup options. And you do have a lot if you do function, and I'm starting with the default patch. If you do function and you do trick, it's going to give you a lot of options. So I'm going to go through all of the options that we have right there and give you an example so you can understand how to use it. First of all, again, I'm starting with the default patch, but I will maybe go to scene number 2 or number 1 and add a little bit of motion. You know what? I'm gonna go and stand on the algorithm number 2, right? I'm gonna stand on the number 2, and I'm only gonna use the one we have on the X. So it's the C, and it's gonna be the A. So I can just worry about one single modulator. We know that we are doing some modulation from the A to the C, right? That's what we are doing. And this is going to be important in a second because we need to talk about this. So if I go to function and I go to trick, we get first the key scalings. So when we play the keys, lower or higher keys, what the C is doing is modulating the A, right? But it's doing it on the same fashion. It doesn't care we are playing higher keys or lower keys. The modulator affects the carrier the same way. So the key scaling, what it does is going to listen to the different keys that we are playing, if it's higher or it's lower, and it will affect the level. Now, if I go to key scaling of A, is what we are doing right here, right? We are using the A modulator to influence the C. So if I go back and use the key scaling A, it's gonna create an impact. So if I go all the way to 127, it's gonna be full. Now you're gonna hear a change in tone. It's gonna sound a little bit more smoother. Now this is very smooth. If I go all the way down, now it's gonna be maybe a little bit more aggressive. So this is what it does in conclusion. It's gonna make it sound a little bit more smoother. That's what it does in this case. So, okay, so that's what the key scaling does. And you have one for the A, you have one for the B, one and one for the B2. You don't get, one for the C because that's usually a carrier, right? These ones are the modulators. That's why we get them. All right, so coming up next is going to be the filter key tracking. So key tracking is something that you get on pretty much all synthesizers. Now, depending on which keys we play, and it follows the same idea than the key scaling right here. It's pretty much the same idea, but on a different way. So depending on which keys you play, the cutoff will open more or will open less. So let me just create an example. We have that sound, the one that we've been using, and I'm going to be going to the filter, and I'm going to do some cutoff right here. Just going to chop a little bit of the, the higher frequencies, and we can hear that we are chopping the higher frequencies. So now if I play higher keys, we get less harmonics because we are chopping a lot of the highs. And if I go up on the keyboard, we can, we cannot hear them almost. They're pretty low in volume because we are chopping a lot of the highs. Now, as we keep going lower down, lower in pitch, we can hear them a little bit more because we are not cutting the low frequencies, right? So this is the point of the key tracking. What it will do, it will make the synthesizer listen to the keys that you're playing. So if you're playing higher keys, it's going to open the filter a little bit more. And if you're playing the lower keys, it's going to open the filter a little bit less. It goes all the way to 100. Now, if I play the keys, notice that we get higher frequencies and we can really hear them. And if I go to the lows, we can still hear them. But if I go up in the keyboard, maybe not here, notice that we get them right now. If I do the same thing, so with no key tracking, it's pretty dark. And if I keep going up the higher keys, notice that we can't hear them a lot. So this is the point, what the key tracking does. Now, it's not something from this synthesizer. It's something that we get on pretty much any other synthesizer, digital or analog. Now, the next thing is going to be Portamento, but I'm going to cover this at the end because it's pretty boring. I'm going to go to Octave. This one is simple, and I guess I don't need to explain a lot. If I stay on this, it's going to be the default octave that you're using on your keyboard, but this is going to offset the offset, right? It's high, or we can go to lows. So again, it's just changing the octave of your keyboard. That's it. And you're doing it from the setup. You're not doing it from here. All right, so coming up next is going to be the play mode. So you can choose between different play modes. Of course, you have poly, you have poly MLFO, and then you have mono, and then you have mono legato. Now, all of this is pretty simple, but maybe I'm going to need to explain it. So poly is just poly, right? It's the polyphonic. So right here, you can change it to mono. So if I play one key and I play a second key, it's not going to work. You only get mono. So you're just making your synthesizer mono. I guess I don't need to explain it. And then what you get is mono legato. I'm going to go back to this one because after poly, you have poly MLFO. Now, when you have a polyphonic instrument, all the voices are just kind of duplicated by the amount of voices that you get. So if you have 8 voices, like we have right here, you will get pretty much 8 different filters, 8 different LFOs, and so on and so on and so on. This is how a polyphonic instrument works. So by default, when you stand on poly, and I'm going to give you an example, if we go to the LFO and we start modulating things, the modulation, each voice will get its own version of the LFO. So I'm going to be getting out, and maybe I'm going to be going down in volume because it's just going to get a little bit too bright, right? So I'm going to be going to the LFO, and I need to do some modulation to prove this. So I'm going to be selecting, let me see if I can find it. So I'm going to go to syn, and then the pitch, and then all, right? So I'm going to make sure that I'm modulating the pitch of all of them. I'm going to say yes, just to confirm it. And then we need to do some modulation. If I do something like that, it's going to be really wild. So I'm going to be doing just a tiny little bit. And I'm going to go down, in speed, right? So we can, it's not super annoying, right? And I'm going to be staying, maybe on this one. I'm going to go to a different waveform. I'm going to be maybe going to a different waveform. There we go, a sine wave. And maybe slower, so we can again see it on the oscilloscope, and we can see it on this spectrum. There we go. So, okay, so when we use a polyphonic instrument, each voice is going to follow its own version of the LFO. So I'm going to be playing this, and we can see the tones moving up and down. Now, if I play this, and play this one, there we go. It is that they are just moving in the opposite direction. And it's because each voice, each key I press, it's following its own version of the LFO. This is how usually it works, right? So they're just crossing and going like this. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to go to function and then the setup, and I'm going to go to polyphonic, but now the LFO is going to be mono. I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be playing it, and it is that it doesn't matter how or when I play it, everything is moving together. And it's because the voices are following one version of the LFO. They're all following the same motion, right? It's a little bit different. So if you want a polyphonic LFO and you want all the voices to follow the same groove, then you will need to go to setup and change it to mono. But if you want the other one, you can stay on poly, and that's going to be the default behavior. Okay, so let's just keep moving forward. The next option is going to be mono. And as you could guess, this is going to be mono. And then we have something else that it says mono legato. So I'm going to go to mono first. So when you're standing on mono, it's just the default one. So I'm going to go maybe down on the sustain of the amp. Maybe I'm going to go right here and just go down. So when I play a key, maybe I'm going to disable the LFO. So if I play a key, it's going to be like that. If I play it and I'm pressing and holding. Press, hold, and I'm pressing and holding, pressing and holding, pressing and holding. So what this means is that when I play a key and I'm still holding one and I play a new key, the envelope will re-trigger and we can hear whatever new key we play. But I'm still holding the other ones. But it doesn't matter. If I play a new key, it will always re-trigger. This is how it works, right? So if I'm holding this is the default behavior. If I go to function and change this, and let me go to right there, the play modes, and I'm going to be changing it to mono legato. Now it's going to be a little bit different. If I play a key, notice that if I play a new one, I just don't get it. So this is really useful when you have maybe a little bit of sustain and a little bit of release, and they're going to be going down in sustain. Made a mistake right there. That's fine. I'm going to go down in sustain. I'm going to play and hold. Notice that we still get this key, but the volume goes down. Maybe I'm going to go lower in volume, more release. I'm going to go up in decay. And it doesn't matter, I'm playing. Notice that the volume goes down following one single envelope, in this case. So this means that whenever I play a key, the envelope is not retriggering. It's only retriggering when I play the first key. Every time I play it afterwards, every time I play it after I play this key, the one I'm holding, it will not re-trigger the envelopes. Now, all of this that we are doing in this case, the mono legato, is since 101. So basically, I'm just teaching you that. Now, then you have another thing that it's going to be right here, the note priority. So this one only works on mono. If I go to poly, you're not going to get it. It's not available. It's only for mono. And it's pretty simple. You have last, you have low, and you have high. So I'm going to be starting on low. So if I play a key right here, it's going to sustain it. If I play a higher key than this one, it will not re-trigger or it will not play. If I play a low key, it will do it. That's why it's called low. If I change it to high, it will only react to higher keys. But if I play lower keys, it will not work. And then you have the last, which means that it doesn't care if you're playing a higher key or a low key. It will just do it. And so that's how the last works. So okay, so first I'm gonna go to velocity to vol. So all of this is pretty simple. If you're using a MIDI keyboard, this is going to be how it's going to be reacting to the velocity. And this is talking about the curves. So if I play my keyboard and I play very softly, notice it's very soft. Now if I play hard, it's going to be, greater. We can see a lot more in the spectrum. Play soft or play hard, we get it. So this is usually how it works with a MIDI keyboard. It's just going to recognize it just right away. The only difference is that right here, it says that the reaction or how it reacts to the keys, to an external keyboard in terms of velocity, is going to be linear. So you can change it to other curves, which is going to be off. You can turn it off if you want to, or it's going to be logarithmic, or it's going to be exponential, right? So you get the curves right here. So on this one, if I play it now, you're going to notice the difference. If I play slow, it's a lot more reactive. If I play it hard, it's very easy to get it hard. But right now, if I play soft, I really need to make an effort. So this is how this curve works. Now the other one is going to be the complete opposite. If I go here and I play soft, it's going to be super soft, right? And I'm playing the same. I'm doing pretty much the same with my keyboard. Now if I go to linear, it's going to be a lot easier. And if I go to exponential, it's going to be, way easier to get a higher volume, higher velocity. But this one, again, I need to really, just tap it in order to get something. All right, so you get different curves. By default, it's going to be linear, or if you want it, you can just turn it off if you don't care about this. I'm going to leave it on default. Now, this is cool, but the other option that you have for velocity is way cooler. So I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to enter. So what you get is going to be, first you can see the velocity of your keyboards. So if I play soft, it's very soft. If I play hard, it's going to be hard. So it takes the velocity of whatever keyboard that you're using and you can use it as a modulation source. Yeah, it's super cool. So if you stand right here, notice that you get all the, of course, the knobs. But if I move this one, what you can do, you can assign to whatever option that you get right here. For example, the ratio of C, I'm going to be using that one. And if I go right here at the bottom, I can say how much it will affect the ratio of sin C, right? When I play the keys, if I play soft, it's going to be very mild. But if I play harder, it's going to be more and more. Now, of course, it can get really crazy. But the fact that you can affect properties or params with the velocity, it's super cool. So if I tap the keys of my MIDI keyboard with different intention, I'm going to be always getting something else. Now, again, this can be really aggressive, so I'm going to be doing just a little bit. Right. So I guess you get the idea. Now you have, of course, 4 modulation slots, so you can modulate 4 different things. Now, this is something that you can use with the keyboard. You don't need an external keyboard. So if I get out of this, and I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna go to a grid recording, and I'm gonna be recording some notes. if I play it, it's going to be always the same because the velocity for all the triggers is the same. But maybe if I go to this one and I change the velocity to a param block, I'm going to record different velocities, right? So you can do the same at home. This one is going to be really aggressive. This one is going to go down, and this one up, and this one down. Now, if I play it, notice that we get it, right? So you don't need to have an external keyboard in order to use this modulation, right? And remember that you can go here and then go to velocity mode. All right, so there we go. And change, of course, you can play it and play around with the controls. And on top of that, you can see how, what you're doing right there. It's a super cool feature. For now, I'm just going to disable it because I want to move on to the next, the next cool thing. All right, so back to no sequence and function and trigger. We're going to go to the next thing, which is going to be the same thing that we pretty much get with the velocity, but it's going to be for the pitch bend and the depth, right? So let me find it first. All right, so after the velocity to vol, we get the pitch bend depth. And this one, it's pretty self-explanatory. So if I play a key, I'm going to be maybe going up in volume. I'm playing a key and I go up on my pitch bend. It's going to go up and I'm going full up. You don't see it, of course, it's off camera. I have a big keyboard. But if I go all the way down on the pitch bend, and it's not the modulation wheel, not the mod wheel, the pitch one, is going by 2 semitones. But you can change this, and maybe you're going to say that the max is going to be, 1 octave up. So if I play it and I go full up, it's going to be 1 octave. If I go full down, it's going to be 1 octave. And I guess all of this is just super simple. I guess it makes sense. I can go to 0 right here and just disable it. So if I play it and go up, it doesn't care, right? So it's doing nothing. So just like the velocity to vol, we get the same deal for the pitch bend. If I keep going down, notice that you get right here and you get it on the pitch bend as well. So if I go here, you can see my pitch bend going up and my pitch bend going down. So we can do the same trick that we did before. Maybe go right here to the synth. And I don't know, again, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to select that one and we can provide how much of this modulation we will want to do. And if I play a key and go up my mod wheel, we are just going to be getting it. Right, so super cool. And it works exactly the same as the velocity mod, right? Modulation wheel. So then what you get is the same thing for the mod wheel, right? You don't get it right here at the top, right? But you get the same type of modulation for the mod wheel. And then you also get it for the breath controller. And I feel I don't need to explain this because this is pretty simple, pretty obvious at this point. Now I'm going to go to my mod wheel. I'm going to move it up. It's going to recognize it. So if we do the same trick again, maybe go to syn and then go to the ratio. I'm going to go to ratio. I'm going to say yes, and we're going to do something. And now if I play something and go up on the mod wheel, we are going to be getting it. All right. So I guess, again, at this point, you get the idea. And if we go to the next one, it's going to be the breath controller, and you get the same options. I'm going to go up, I'm going to go out, and go to the last of the options, which is going to be the Aftertouch. Now, this one works exactly the same way. Now, you need a keyboard that can do Aftertouch. So if I play a key, and I'm doing Aftertouch right now, we are getting that Aftertouch. So what you can do is the same deal, select, sorry for that, just bumped the camera. You can go to a property right here, just like maybe the ratio, and then do the same deal that we've been doing. Just press, and when you use Aftertouch, it's going to do the modulation. So if you think about this setup, it's not just, some dumb setup that you get for your synthesizer or your track in this case. It's going to be a super useful modulation source, right? All right, so I'm going to go down, I'm going to go up, go out, and that's the Aftertouch, right? And if you think about this, all of these options, the Aftertouch, the breath control, the modulation, the velocity mod, the pitch bend, and so on, are really useful functions that you get or maybe are hidden on the synthesizer. You just don't see it right away. You need to go to the setup. But usually you use the LFO or the filter or the the param locking just to do your modulation. If this is not enough, you have these options. You have them right there and you can use them. They're really, really useful. Now you know them, you can use them. All right, so we covered pretty much everything that we have right here. The only thing that we need to cover right now is going to be the Portamento. And I left this to the end because it's a little bit boring and we have a bunch of options. Now, all of these options are very easy to understand and I'm going to give you an example so you can understand them all. Now, before we mess with this, we need some kind of, a Portamento. So I need to turn on the Portamento and I'm going to go up in time so we can, hear what it does. I'm going to stay around 70 something. So if I play a key, it's going to do the Portamento. And of course, it's pretty noticeable. That's the plan. So if I go to function and I go to Portamento, again, we have several options. First is going to be the track. So the track is the default one and it's the classic Portamento. It's going to glide from the last key that you played, right? Again, the classic gliding. Now, then you get other options. So the next one is going to be the voice. So on this one, what it does is going to glide from whatever that voice was. Now, I'm going to get out of here and you need to make sure that the play mode is poly. This is, the best way of showing you this. I'm going to stay on poly. Now, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go to the menu of the voices. Now, every time that we play a voice or we play a key, it's going to use a voice. By default, it's on cycle. And this only works when you're in cycle. So if I play keys like that, notice that it's cycling through different voices, playing the same key. So this, what it does, when I play a key, is going to glide from whatever that voice was. So if I play different keys, notice that you get different glides depending on which voice it's using and where that voice was in terms of gliding. Right? This is how it works. Now, if you go to the other mode, the track mode, is a little bit more consistent, let's say. Right? So this, again, depends on what you're doing. Maybe you're using mono, not poly, and it's just, if you use voice, it just makes no sense, but that's fine. So the next option is going to be legato only. So this how it works is that if you play a key, whatever key, doesn't matter, it will only work if you're holding a key, right? Hold, play, legato. Hold, play, legato. That's how it works. Right, and that's it. You don't get more options. I'm going to stay on track for now. Then you have the other option, which is going to be the constant rate and the constant time. So if I go to constant rate, what it will do, it will glide in a linear fashion. So if I play closer notes, the gliding is faster, right? Because I'm playing closer notes. But as soon as I go to a higher pitch, or maybe something that it's all the way up in pitch or in frequency, it's going to do a big glide, right? Go all the way down, it's going to take some time, all the way up, and it's going to take some time. But when we play closer keys, the gliding, it's super small. So this is going to be how the constant rate is going to work. Now, the constant time, it's the opposite of this. It's going to try to take the same amount of time regardless of the keys that you're playing. So if I play this key and then I play this one, it takes a long time to get there, and it takes a long time to get there. And the same thing if I play here. That is, it's pretty much taking the same time. And all of this depends, again, on what you're doing. So that's how the constant time and the constant rate works. Right, so then we have the amount, and as you could guess, this is kind of like the amount that we get on the trigger menu, right, on the trigger param. But it's not the same. So if I play a key right here, we can hear the gliding. If I do a chord, it's going to be pretty messy because we have a lot of frequencies going on. So it's gliding for a lot of frequencies. So the amount, if you go down on the amount, is going to help you to smooth that out. It's just a little bit more consistent. If I go get closer to 50, it's going to be a little bit more obvious. Notice that the gliding is not super aggressive now. Now, if you keep going down, at some point, you're going to be getting almost no gliding, especially when you do chords. And if I go all the way down, you get nothing. So again, this is a way you can smooth the gliding if it's too aggressive. All right, so let's keep moving forward. Then you have the last two things. It's going to be the style and then the gating. All right, so this is simple. You have glide, which is the default, and then you have glissando. So what's the, what the F is the difference? So if I play a key, it's going to glide like that. We already know this. But what it does is going to sweep the frequencies in a very smooth fashion. So it goes up in hertz, not in semitones, and it's not stepped. It's pretty smooth going up and then going down, right? No stopping. Now the glissando is going to be in a stepped fashion. So if I play down and I'm going to be playing up, notice that what we get is going to be, a stepped fashion. So let me make it more obvious. I'm going to stay on time and I'm going to make it, a lot longer. And I'm going to go back to the Portamento. And if I play it down, now we can hear it. All right, so that's pretty much what it does. I'm going to go back to glide, smooth up, and then smooth down. Now, then what we have is the gating. So this one you can turn it on or you can turn it back off. Now, for this one, I need to create an example. I'm going to go to trigger and stay around the 70s or 80s. And I'm going to go to the amp. I need to add a little bit of release just to show you how this works. So if I play a key, notice that we do get some release. Maybe I'm going to go and make it a little bit more obvious. All right, maybe a little bit more. All right. So now I'm going to be going to function and go to the setup and then go to the Portamento. And the gating off, how it works, and it's the default, is that the glide goes on until it's done. It doesn't care that you're holding a key or you're not holding a key. If I play a key and I'm holding it, it's going to go all the way up, right? Okay, now I'm going to be playing it down and I'm going to tap it and then release the key. Right? So if I play it up, since we have a longer release, of course, the sound is going to sustain for a little bit more time and, it's going to take a long time to get down. But still, when I release the key, the gliding still goes up until it reaches this frequency. Right? That's how it works. Now, the gating, and it's super useful. If I turn it on, it's going to work the opposite way. If I release a key, it's going to listen to that and it's going to stop the gliding. So if I play it, maybe you're gonna go with this. This is a little bit different now. It's gliding, but when I release the keys, it stops gliding. The release of the synthesizer, the envelope keeps going on, right? But the sliding or the gliding in this case stops. Now, of course, if you keep holding, it's gonna go all the way until it reaches whatever frequency that you're playing. But if I tap it, right, so that's how it works. Of course, it remembers the last, where the sliding or the gliding in this case is stopping in frequency. So if I tap it, you're going to get that effect. Right. So that's it pretty much. So I'm going to get out. Okay, so we are done. We just covered all the options that you get on the setup menu. And I recorded a video for this because some of the options that you have on the setup are really important. And most people don't use it. And it's because you don't have an easy access to them. You need to go to function, then enter to the menu. And again, most people don't like to enter to menu or do menu diving. And it makes sense, right? But you have some super cool, important features right here, especially when we talk about the pitch bend, the velocity mod, and all of that. And if you're working with Portamento, you need to know how to handle the Portamento. Now, hopefully you learned something on this one. And remember to like and subscribe, of course, if you liked all of this. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can. Go to the links at the description. You have links for PayPal, Patreon, and YouTube. Thanks if, that's your thing. All right, so thanks for watching and see you on the next one.